How bad is it going to get? Is it intentional? What can we expect to see?
I think people don't really realize, like, the more money we print, the more inflation's going to get worse. That's why we've lost 25% of the value of the dollar in the last 5 years. Well, that's because we've been printing way more money.
Right now, there's a lot of almost like a finger pointing where it's like, oh, it's this one thing that's happening today that's going to cause inflation. No, this has been a problem, like you were saying, that's been going on for years, for decades, but it's just been getting worse in recent years as the printing continues to escalate.
It's obviously accelerating. Yeah, is inflation going to get worse? Yes. Is it by design? 100%. Inflation is an invisible tax on your wealth. All right, so Gold Rush 3.
Gold Rush Hour 3.
Our mics broke, and so
we're improvising.
Yeah, we're improvising. What do you want to see? You want to try something different?
Yeah, let's try something different. I know last time when we were cruising around, I love it. I love checking out all of Arizona. People last week saying, Eric, you got to let Taylor out more, and Eric does let me out. I haven't explored myself, so it is fun to have the opportunity to get out and check things out.
I always like to ask when we start, like, what do you see? What are you seeing in the comments? What are people talking about? What are people asking?
There's so much going on. I think I say that every week too, but it is true. There is always so much going on.
Well, I don't think that we probably would have said that last year this time.
That's
right?
True. That's true.
It was a little bit more subdued. People felt like, oh yeah, everything's good. Economy's doing good. Bitcoin's doing good. Dow Jones doing good. My portfolio's well, right?
That's a good point, actually. Last year felt very status quo. It seemed like a lot of things were just week over week kind of keeping pace. And in the last couple months, I definitely think that sentiment's changed, even in the mainstream media, who, in my opinion, like to downplay everything and pretend everything's fine. I've seen a lot of kind of panic and concern cropping up recently, especially in the last week or two. Whether it's around tariffs or inflation. Inflation's a big one, actually, that I continue to see a lot of comments about. How bad is it going to get? Those types of things. Is it intentional? What can we expect to see? Which, in my opinion, is inflation going to get worse? Absolutely. I mean, I hate to say it, and it might seem like an obvious answer.
Unless we stop printing money.
Right.
Or we slow it down dramatically. I think people don't really realize, like, the more money we print, the more inflation's going to get worse. That's why we've lost 25% of the value of the dollar in the last 5 years. Well, that's because we've been printing way more money than what we have previous to the whole COVID thing, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, again, right now, there's a lot of almost like a finger pointing where it's like, oh, it's this one thing that's happening today that's going to cause inflation. No, this has been a problem, like you were saying, that's been going on for years, for decades, but it's just been getting worse in recent years as the printing continues to escalate, which 2025, they're now saying, is on track to have a larger deficit than 2024.
40 years ago, if you go back 40 years, the dollar has lost, I think it was like 75% of its value. In the last 30 years, it's over 50%, and it lost 25% in the last 5. So it's obviously accelerating, right? And, it was pretty stable before 1971, before they took us off the gold standard. So, yeah, is inflation going to get worse? Yes. Is it by design? 100%. Inflation is an invisible tax on your wealth. It goes in at the top to the banks, then the big corporations, and then by the time it's diluted, it gets down to us, and we are the last ones who get to spend it, right? Yes, it's only going to get worse, and hyperinflation will be what, in my opinion, is what's going to trigger the reset. I don't think they're going to say, okay, now we're going to reset the system. I think hyperinflation will come first, like it usually does, and then the reset will occur. So yes, inflation is going to continue to get more rapid until it gets way out of control, and then they'll reset the currency. And usually it happens a couple of times before it's where it's completely wiped out. But
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think that's something that a lot of people do when they watch our channel, and people who are really digging into this, they're trying to figure out how they can prepare, because they understand the system's broken. They see what's going on, they hear what we're saying, and they're saying, okay, so what should I do next? One comment I actually would love to ask you, that I see quite a few people ask in the comments, because I know you're really into real estate, is, should I buy real estate or should I buy gold? That's one I see constantly.
Yeah, well, and I love real estate. I mean, I grew up in a real estate development family, and so it's kind of always been
In your
just,
blood?
yeah, in my blood or in my family culture. My uncles all built commercial and residential. So it was kind of a big thing. And in fact, the very first thing I really wanted to do was I got my finance degree from Arizona State like 20 something years ago, and what I really wanted to do was land development, right? Build master plan communities. And then 2008 happened. I'm a big proponent of real estate. I think you got to have a place to live, right? So even if there's a reset, you still got to have somewhere to live, and you got to have a place to have your family, or a place to retire, or whatever. I would have a place to live and have it paid off, right? Because then you only have to worry about the tax portion of what's going to happen, rather than a reset of your mortgage and then not being able to afford to pay that. Real estate during hyperinflation will absolutely tank. It's what it does all the time. Whatever you own in real estate, hyperinflation happens, real estate will tank, gold will go up. So there will be opportunities after there is a reset or during in hyperinflation. If you own gold, gold's going to go up, real estate's going to tank, and you'll be able to buy real estate on the cheap with the gold, because the gold will go up, real estate will go down. You'll be able to make opportunities of that. So, if you think that hyperinflation and reset's coming soon, maybe you want to lay off on buying real estate. If you're buying a primary residence, I mean, we don't know, right, when it's going to happen. We don't know. Could be 10 years from now. Who knows? It is accelerating, but we don't know the answer to that. So I think if you're buying a primary residence, buy it at any time. Don't worry about the price. Gold is really your insurance policy. You buy it to protect yourself from the other things you buy. So if you bought real estate and you buy gold, so you buy a house and you buy gold, then you can use that gold to protect the real estate that you bought. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I think it's a great point, because a lot of people get very stuck on this kind of black or white, either or, right, situation. And it's obviously a lot more nuanced than that. Like you said, people have to have a place to live, and there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, this is something that comes up too, is how many people, I mean, you'd like to say that you're shocked by it, but I'm not shocked. How many people say, well, I've been watching your videos for a while now, and I've been trying to talk to my financial planner, my advisor, whoever, about protecting my wealth with gold, even taking a portion out. And these advisors, it's like they're not trained in precious metals. They focus on paper assets only. You know what I mean? Even
Yes.
people who want to go buy real estate, they're being told, oh, why don't you put it in this instead over here, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like there's so much focus on paper because that's how they make their money. I mean, again, I'd like to say I'm shocked by it, but I'm not, because it all comes back to who's getting paid regardless.
Well, a financial advisor is a salesperson.
Right.
Right. And so the more money, their job is to sell people to put their money with them. The more money that they have under management, the more money that they make. So if you have to, take money out of that doesn't help them. So, you really got to have a financial advisor that truly does have your best interest at heart. Even if they're a fiduciary and they're making 1%, they're still incentivized then to keep more money under management. So you got to remember that. And, you got to remember when you're buying gold, like you're buying it from somebody who's also incentivized, like we're incentivized to sell you gold. Right? So that's why it's so important. You got to do your own due diligence. You got to know who you're dealing with. You got to trust the people, and that everyone has your best interest at heart, because whenever you're buying something, whenever you're selling something, there's people that are making money on that. And so you got to be your own best judge of what's right for you based upon your concerns, goals, and objectives. So just keep that in mind. No financial advisor, well, I can't say none, because there are ones that are going to be like, yeah, you should have gold because it's going to help protect you, right? Absolutely everyone should have gold. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't have money in the stock market or bonds or real estate or anything else. Whatever you want to have in whatever you want to invest in, you should invest in it. But you should 100% have gold and silver to protect those investments. That's what it's for, right? Don't think of it as an investment. Think of gold and silver as a way to protect what you have.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself. To that point, actually, let me ask you a question, because I mean, I know a little bit about this, but I'd love to hear from you. How did you first learn this yourself? What got you into precious metals? Maybe some of the background of ITM, your background a little bit. I mean, I'm sure people would love to hear it because I would too.
Well, my dad was he was in real estate and real estate development initially. And then he kind of started seeing the writing on the wall. I know there was a book, A Bankrupt America, 1995, A Bankrupt America, something like that. I remember him talking about it when I was a kid. And that was what kind of convinced him to get into the gold and silver world, right? And then
His light bulb moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so he had been following like the central banks and like Federal Reserve and the money printing, and he kind of knew, right, like what was really going on and kind of the plan and how inflation worked and all that kind of stuff. And then he, saw the real interest rates in the 1980s, and it made real estate almost impossible to sell at that time. And he actually started in the gold world working for another couple of companies when I was a kid in like the early 90s. And he didn't like the lack of transparency in the gold industry.
Lack of transparency, how?
Meaning like not really telling people like what the cost of doing business is, and not really being open and honest about the markets and all that kind of stuff. And so, a lot of like what we see in the gold IRA market with these ridiculous bullion products marked up 200-300% that these companies are doing, that kind of stuff. And so he decided to start his own company, which was ITM Trading, in 1995. And he started it with nothing, and started it out of his bedroom actually, and then built it up. And then I was in the real estate finance world trying to learn all that so that I could start my own development company. And in 2007, that's what I wanted to do. And then realized 2008 happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And I started seeing how much money they were printing, and I thought, wow, gold is where you want to be. So I moved over to work with him, because I was like, hey, I think gold is where you want to be. And he was like, well, you're not going to like doing this. You're a real estate guy. And so he tried to talk me out of it. But then I started working with him in 2008, and then slowly but surely just started to help, bring the company into the digital age and the internet age and all that kind of stuff. And then in 2016, my dad had quadruple bypass surgery. His health got kind of really bad. And so then he asked me to buy him out in 2017. And then that's when we really started going on YouTube and bringing the message out to the people, because I've always been a hater of central banks and like this whole thing, like they're a public company. They're not. They're a private bank. It's registered as a nonprofit, so the bankers who own it make all the money. It's a freaking joke. And then once the whole central bank digital currency talk started to happen, that really pissed me off. So then it was like, okay, now we really got to start bringing this
personal.
Right? Like we got to fight against this, because this will be, in my opinion, the worst thing that'll ever happen to the human race is central bank programmable money. So does that answer your question? I get so distracted doing this because I'm driving and I have to watch, like, oh, we went from a 35 to a 25, and then they put a photo radar camera right next to it.
Those photos will get you. I think my face is plastered all over.
Did that one back there get us? Because I noticed it. My speed was saying it's a 35 mile an hour zone, then it went 25, and then they had the camera right there, which I think is entrapment.
I did not see it go off, but I will say I would not be surprised if there was a billboard with my face. I have gotten quite a few of those. So
don't pay them. Just so you know, it's a private company that does that. They have to serve you.
Yeah.
Have you been looking at the mountains at all? Like I literally took you down like one of the prettiest spots.
Well, I know. I was so engrossed actually in your story, but it is absolutely stunning.
Uh-oh, we lost the camera.
Oh no. We got mic problems, we got camera problems. We're falling apart over here outside of the studio.
What do you got going on that you're like most excited about?
I mean, I've been talking about this with you recently, but I feel like there's a lot of momentum right now around gold, around people realizing what's going on, around more people questioning what's put in front of them and not just taking things at face value.
Oh, another camera.
We lost another camera.
Lost another camera.
Well, I'll make it short then, I guess.
I think we should get some coffee.
Yeah, let's get some coffee. Let's go. Gold Rush Hour 3 is extra rush today.
That's a wrap.